Dobrze. To w takim wypadku witam Państwa bardzo serdecznie na
So yes, welcome, bright side of the force, and we would like to tell you about a positively surprising influence of games on the development of children and teenagers. Again, you know us from before, and the questionnaire has only one question. So what are the items that these people are using? Hopefully you can see the survey on the chat. So give us a quick answer. So some our sketch drawer is answering correctly, but we're waiting for your answers. It's almost 50-50, so I would like to congratulate the people who got the idea that this PSP games console. And we showed you this photo not by accident. We are not going to tell you about the games console, but PSP are the key letters for all our lecture. We're going to talk about psyche, soma, and polis. So how these games influence these three aspects. So let's start with the body. So soma. How games affect development of our body. First, well, everyone says that if you move around, you're more healthy. Definitely, moving is beneficial to our health, to our development, not only the mobile development, but also related to education. Because children who move when learning, according to WHO guidelines, at least once 1 hour a day or 3 hours a week at least, they learn better, and then children with obesity sleep worse and they learn worse conversely. So moving is essential. And if you look at children, you can see that they are hungry for big movement. They are running around, and this is part of their development process. They have to have energy. And right now, the times are, more sedentary, let's say. If you sit in front of your computer for numbers of hours, and you don't move, then you may have problems. But and games can stimulate physical activity. To prove that, I will start with a very old game. I'm sure you know that. Drawing boxes on the pavement and then jumping into the boxes or between the boxes. That is a very good practice of coordination, of aiming at the target. Right now, we have internationally recognized Twister, adopting different positions, maintaining balance. It's an opportunity for great fun for children, and they are not even aware that they are exercising while playing. And then I'm pretty sure that most of you know games with motion controllers that are really popular now. I really like these with dancing, that you have to mimic the dancing routine. But I also participated in different games like skiing, for example, or sledding, using motion to navigate through the track. And then also games that practice both small, detailed mobility, fine mobility, or eye motion movement. We also have Jenga. We also have pickup sticks. So playing Jenga without any educational reasons, well, practices fine mobility, of course. That is very important so important when handwriting and then operating machinery, and then the eye. Body mobility coordination is very important in the first person perspective games, so FPP games. So I'm not uh, looking at the person that is the game character, but I see the world through their eyes. So that practices, of course. Yeah, and of course, different kind of manual games playing is also useful. I can see some useful advice in on the chat as well.
Nasza soma to
And
też
then
nasze
our soma
jelita.
is
I gdybyś
our
tego kilka
intestine.
lat temu wgruchnęła taka wiadomość, że w
A
jelitach to my mamy drugie
couple of years
myślenie.
ago, we learned that
Tak naprawdę
intestines are our
nasze
second
jelita to
brain.
trochę punkt
Uh,
skierowania w
it's
zainteresowaniach
not
i
exactly
wykonaniu
true,
procesu,
but there
prawda?
is a certain
Mózgowego,
management
myślenie
system
emocjonalne.
hidden in our
A
intestine
jedną z
related to our
emocji,
emotions.
które są
And
nam
then
doskonale znane, jest
one of the
miłość
emotions
i
that is well
agresja.
known is
I to nas
anger,
kieruje do
aggression,
tej pierwszej
and
części
that leads
naszego
us to the
życia,
first part that we would like to
czyli
address.
pokonania mitów
So
świata.
to debunk some
Krąży taka
myths.
obiegowa opinia,
There is
że
a certain
gry
stereotype that
powodują
games
przemocowe zachowania, że
cause
jak
violent behavior.
ta osoba,
So
która wyszła
if
tam
you
i wystrzelała
uh,
ileś osób, to on
shoot
właśnie grał w te
people or
agresywne
in a
gry
computer games, you will also shoot
i
people
okazuje
in
się,
real
że to nam
life.
się faktycznie wydaje dosyć logiczne,
And the
że
things that seem
absolutnie
logical,
nastawiło
the idea that
przemyślenia
seems
jako
logical
takie
has
stuprocentowe
absolutely no
potwierdzenie
confirmation
badaniami.
in
No i
reality in
wspomniany
the
takiego
studies.
badacza to jest pan
And there is
Dr.
a person,
Ferguson, on jakoś
Mr.
bardzo mocno w tym
Ferguson,
temacie siedzi
a
i on
scientist
różnego
that
rodzaju badania
tries to
prowadzi,
verify
w
that
których
myth
właśnie jest
and
pokazał,
others as well. And he
że
very clearly
właśnie
specified
jest
that
tak, że
there's a very nice
siłą rzeczy
quote there.
sprawcy
It would be
przestępstw
difficult
nie grają w
for
gry, ponieważ
the
generalnie
crime perpetrators
wszyscy
not
grają w
play
gry,
computer
szczególnie
games
mężczyźni.
because
W
everyone
związku
plays
z tym
computer games
korelacja
right now, especially
występów
men.
wykładania
So
dosyć
this
mocnym naciskiem
correlation that is reported in certain studies is falsified. I would say is not correct. He can also, like Ferguson, for example,
jako że
correlates
faktycznie
dating
te
women with aggression or
więcej
wearing
oddają
trousers with aggression,
mężczyzn. Co więcej,
because this is what
badania
predominantly
i
men do.
statystyki, które są prowadzone, pokazują,
And
że
again,
jest
it's
im
falsified, of course,
więcej
statistics,
sprzedajemy
and
gier, im
it's
więcej gier jest
reversed actually. The
produkowanych,
more
jest taka,
games
widać taki
are
spadek,
produced
jeżeli chodzi
and
o ilość
sold, the
przemocy,
less
która
the
wiąże
aggression
się
is. The
z
amount of
tymi aferami,
violence in
które
the United
są
States, for
jakimiś takimi
example,
multimilionami
being
dziennie.
perpetrated by teenagers,
Cofnęliśmy się do lat 90.,
we
jeżeli chodzi o
moved back to the
nasilenie
60s in
nasilenie
terms of
przemocy
its
domowej.
strength. So the
Jest
amount of
coraz
violence
szybciej.
fell down along with the amount of games sold.
Ja niestety nie widzę komentarzy,
Increased, the
więc
sales
subskrybujcie,
increased.
ale
Piotr mentioned something similar on chat. What can games do to our emotional development? Well, they can strengthen us in this respect. We try to strengthen our body in many aspects. So we believe that if we expose ourselves to a certain factor that might be dangerous to us, like cold, for example, then we will be more resistant to cold later on in a more severe situation. In games, it's similar. The experiencing of success builds us up. We want to experience success again and again. It motivates us again. We will also, of course, experience failure in games. So, can it necessarily be connected with shouting, crying, rolling all over the floor? Of course not. Uh, this is how children sometimes react, but the truth is that failure also affects our lives and is present in our lives. So this helps us to strengthen our body to a real life situation, especially in games. If in game you can try again, you can building up our resistance for the future. Then competition, another point. We can of course discuss how soon, how early you should introduce competition in games. But again, our children encounter competition as well in their lives very early. Competing does not mean that you have to hate or dislike people that are on the other side. You can still respect the other person, the competitor. And I think games teach that. Sometimes you can lose even if you did everything in your power to win. So that teaches a child that not everything is dependent on them. Then games allow us to master our emotions and how do we express our emotions. If we get back to the example of a twister, there's a lot of laughter there. But then the more we laugh, the easier it is to fall over and then to lose conversely. And then there are other games that also are based on competition and not to express your emotion or to suppress your emotion. And games, and it is shown by the studies as well, games help with children with the ASC or with the Asperger's syndrome, with the spectrum of autism. In Sweden, a study was conducted based on a multiplayer game, a game that is based on going through the jungle, meeting the natives, and going through and learning how to communicate with the natives. And this helped these autistic children or Asperger's children to recognize emotions better. And this is confirmed by the studies. And then simple games like Angry Birds, for example, are one of the simplest ways of relaxing, of letting off steam. Is that the moment? Yes. Okay. Drum roll.
Okay, so there will be question number one for the competition. I announced at the beginning, so the question is on the chat, and I will tell you the question. Describe your best lecture from the conference. Let's play. Describe the best conference. Describe the best lecture from the conference. Let's play. So, Alexandra, if you now can switch and move to the next slide because I will follow. I have a small technical problem with the presentation. Can we ask the operator to move the slide? Thank you very much. Okay, I think that the most controversial part of what we want to tell you. So let's talk about shooting games. Shooting games shouldn't take place, but shooting games are games that are the most researched in terms of their positive aspect on cognitive functions, especially concentration, but memory as well. So let's move on to psyche. So to this actually second letter. So there's a shooting game. I walk around and I shoot my enemies. What does it give to me? Research show that, first of all, I create my ability to see what is on the periphery of my vision. So I broaden my vision because I see during the game a small shade. Someone's moving and I can notice find the shade. I quickly scan the field of vision. I can transfer my concentration. I can manage my concentration. I quickly notice different sensations and I can transfer during different sensations. I am more mindful. This is the process of like blinking. This is the same with our attention. So this, let's say, blinking of attention doesn't affect players as much as non-players. It also strengthens our short-term memory, so the memory we use at the time to solve the problem. And it has been proven that shooting games um, means that players have better imagination in terms of the 3D of different objects, 3D or spatial aspect of different objects. So many benefits of shooting games on processing on students and on people. It's not the only benefit of games on our brain. Research conducted at the University in Michigan State proved for the first time the connection between playing console and developing creativity in terms of creating stories and design. I think that there will be more connections because if we think about it, how many things do you need to design or think of during the game? How children are involved into creating their avatars or worlds or characters. Mm, I think we will find even more benefits of that. And then there's something for Polish teachers and for educators and people working with pupils. Um, Games help to learn to read. The study was conducted on children with dyslexia. They had special games sessions that trained their spatial and time management. And what was the result? There were like dozens of sessions, and these sessions, game sessions, gave as good effects as 1 year therapy. So Agnieszka mentioned that children were more able to transfer their attention. That's why they were more able to focus on reading. And in 2020, the survey conducted in Great Britain checked if during the lockdown, teenagers um, were actually sitting at home. And the study wanted to prove if such teenagers read. And actually, um, what was the result? That 4 out of 5 children playing games at least once a week, once a month, read fun facts or blogs about the games because they want to be better at playing the games, and they are that's why they're trained, they're reading. Games can also strengthen our memory. There are many proofs that our operational memory will is boosted thanks to playing games because we remember what should be done, what was done before because of the game. We can also help students. Game can also improve students' abilities that this is visible even 3 months after the training. So it's really important to adjust the game to the type of the memory we want to practice.
No i wreszcie dochodzimy do
And
ostatniego
we
P.
move
P
on
się
to the
znowu
last
jak
P,
polis i
P like
zastanówmy się nad wpływem
police.
gier,
So
pozytywnym wpływem
let's
gier
think
na
about the
funkcjonowanie
introduction,
społeczne. No
influence
i
of the games
tutaj,
on the
jak
social
sobie ujmiemy
interaction.
refleksją ten temat, to
If we
pierwsza
think
rzecz,
about
która
this
jakoś tam,
topic, the
kiedy
first thing that
dyskutowałyśmy
comes
intensywnie
to
nad tym
our mind,
tematem, pierwsza,
even
która jakoś tak nam się
what came to what
narzuciła
we
i
thought about
przykuła naszą uwagę, to jest kwestia
as the
zasad.
first thing is the
I teraz jak
question of
sobie
the
przypominamy
rules.
różne dyskusje, rozmowy, no to
Because
myślimy
if
sobie, że
we
one takie są fajne,
remind
że
different
jakoś nastały,
discussions and
przypominamy dzieciom potem
conversations, we
zasady, że w ogóle był ten
think that
właściwie
teenagers
element
are
bezstresowego wychowania. No
up,
i
brought
wobec
up without
tego to też mamy
stress,
sobie
that the
przypomnieć,
rules
co
of
daje im stresuje,
stress-free
jak dzieciaki
upbringing
wchodzą w
are
świecie,
everywhere.
jak grają w
But
gry,
when
dlaczego te
children
zasady
are playing
są, co
games,
jest z
then
zasadami
they
jak najbardziej w
accept the
porządku.
rules
Co
and they can
więcej,
follow
jeśli
the rules.
zapytamy, jakie są
Moreover, if
zasady
we
i po co
ask
są te
children
zasady, to
what
się
are
okazuje,
the
że
rules
zasady są
and
bardzo potrzebne,
why were
że
the
jakoś mogą
rules created,
zapewnić granie
children
bez
answer,
stresu, że jak
well,
gramy
the
w taką
rules are
grę,
necessary. Without rules,
na
the
przykład
game
League of Legends,
wouldn't
jest
make any
bardzo popularnych gier,
sense, and so
to te
on and so
zasady są na
forth.
samym wstępie
So
określone i
the
to są takie
games
zasady, pod
are very
którymi nie
often
my jesteśmy
presented at the beginning. The rules underline very often fair play rules, teamwork, and children accept such rules. What also gives games also help allow children to negotiate the rules. Sometimes children need to read the instruction again, so children learn how to negotiate or learn how to co-create the game, and it's a great teamwork for them. What is also from our perspective, from the perspective of analysts, important is that the consequences are inevitable. So if I break a rule, then I will have consequences. So children cannot behave like at school or at home, like, "Mommy, please don't punish me." In the game, you will be punished anyway. So this training in the game, I think, can be transferred to the real life. If so, it would be very beneficial. Let's talk about diversity of roles we can practice during games. Or being a leader in the game, so being responsible for communication or with others or negotiation translates into increase of such competencies and skills offline, no matter of the gender. It's very important to lead the group because if there's a pressure, it's very interesting maybe also to switch to dual gender. Entertainment games, female figures are treated differently than male figures. For example, female figures can get help and indications. Sometimes characters also get immoral propositions, let's say. So maybe if we can offer students that boys can play female avatars and girls can play male avatars, would be a very good start of a discussion. It would help children to strengthen their empathy, to teach tolerance. So we are psychologists, and we think that what is very important is that games allow us to be ourselves. Even if in the offline line I cannot be myself, especially Sims. LGBT plus groups in Sims, they can create their own pattern of family, and they won't be criticized for that. Of course, there are no direct arguments that games will strengthen our tolerance, but I think they can make people more open. Sometimes what we get from the games, we get nice habits, behavioral habits. Implementing I don't know, pro-social or pro-environmental aspects in the game makes sense. Sometimes people even subconsciously can transfer these pro-social aspects to offline. There was a game, there was the problem with the oil of the earth, and when people were playing the game, then they started thinking how they can reduce the amount of petrol we use. I hope that this topic will be discussed during our panel, next panels. But it's very important to conclude that games can strengthen our social skills. And it's very important to choose the proper game, and then it's very important that we later discuss the game, we'll discuss the results of the game. So this is our task. Sometimes we think that games are worthless, but suddenly they have unexpected benefits, like better memory or better attention. Okay, so let's move on to another speaker. PSP are very pleasant, socially serious and practical. I think that this is the best conclusion. So if you are interested in a particular topic we discussed, the role of the leader, of the role of the games in building empathy, then go to the sources and you will find more information. And now a break, and I will, after the break, present another speaker.